How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the first game of the season. I guess it's technically doesn't really count, spring training, but they say, what does a baseball fan do all winter? And for me, it's I stare out the window and I wait for spring. And while it's not technically spring for another 22 days, to me, the first day of baseball is officially the first day of spring. So I hope everybody is doing great. I wanted to welcome you to the first edition of the NYY Recaps pregame show. I'm not going to do this every single day. I generally would release my pregame videos in the middle of the day, and they're generally focused on one or two smaller topics. But occasionally throughout the season, I will hop on and do a live stream. As you'll see that if you stick around for this whole stream, it's a bit of a production. All right, so let's turn off the music there. So welcome. A few things I want to talk about today. The Yankees are at home. I'm wearing the pinstripes. You'll see the Yankees wearing their pinstripes. It's a tradition of the Yankees to wear full pinstripes on the first home spring training game. They usually open up at home. Today they're opening up against the Toronto Blue Jays, whom they'll also open up the season against. I know that a lot of people think that the Blue Jays don't have enough pitching to win this year, and I somewhat agree. But, guys do break out. You never know what could happen. They could bring up somebody who does really good. They could go out and trade for somebody. But they do have a really good offense, and you need to watch out for guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Dante Bichette, Bo Bichette. Dante Bichette was his dad. So it should be a really, really fun season. The first topic I want to talk about today, and we do have limited time, I'm going to do a 30-minute pregame, is Derek Dietrich. Now, if you've seen the lineup, you know that Derek Dietrich is not in the lineup. So before I do my little segment, I see we got some people saying hi, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little roll call. 1 more hour till Yankees baseball. So Derek Dietrich is not in the lineup today, but he's a guy you probably will see at some point, in the next few days in spring. The Yankees do play tomorrow on Yes as well. Also, he could come in sort of a bench role today. But Derek Dietrich is a guy who I really, really like. I get that his stats aren't great the last couple years, but I put together a little segment so you should get to know Derek Dietrich. So let's get started. Spring training is a time when usually one or two guys have a chance to make the roster that otherwise wouldn't have, just because there's always one or two injuries on the squad. One guy that I'm keeping an eye on, if there's a vacancy in the infield, is Derek Dietrich. By the way, I love his Instagram name. Dietrich is no spring chicken. He's 31 years old. He's been with Miami, Cincinnati, and Texas. He's good friends with Giancarlo Stanton. He plays second base, left field, third base. He's batted .245 for his career and has a .762 career OPS, but he does have surprising power to all fields, and he offers a left-handed bat, something the Yankees don't have many of. I find this to be an interesting move because if you look at his defensive numbers, they're not great, and he's hit just .187 each of the past 2 years, but he's got a pretty swing. He honestly reminds me of Josh Hamilton a little bit. He's 6'2", 205 pounds, and his opposite field power is tremendous. He could actually go oppo at Yankee Stadium as a lefty, no problem, which is something that you don't see often. Most guys are just shooting for that right field porch. So pitchers are going to have to pitch him carefully if he ends up on the roster. Do you cede to his power and pitch him away, or do you take the chance of going inside and hoping that he's not looking to pull the ball over that short right field fence? He gives opposing pitchers a real problem in Yankee Stadium. The Yankees have a dearth of left-handed bats, so Dietrich might be a depth piece. It's entirely possible, though, that the Yankees see something in his swing like they did with Gio Urshela, where they can turn his obvious power into more consistent power, possibly off the bench. He doesn't play shortstop, so you'd basically have to carry an extra infielder. But the Yankees have a number of guys who can play all over the diamond, so he fits that mold. I'm really interested to see what Dietrich can do this spring. All right, so that was my little bit on Derek Dietrich. Again, I'll release that as a full video after the stream is over during the Yankees game. But he's a guy that I'm excited to see. I like his swing. Like I said, Josh Hamilton, I saw him play here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And obviously he had a very nice career with the Rangers despite, his prior suspensions and things like that. He came back nicely. His career was shortened due to injuries. Also, doing all those drugs and things probably, affected his body. But Derek Dietrich's swing, just the way that he plunges towards that ball on the left side, he kind of lets it get deep in the zone and then just drops that bat head on it on the outside part of the plate. It really has a lot of power. So coming into this stream, I want to make a little announcement. We are 383 subscribers from 10,000. My goal is to get to 10,000 by opening day, but my lineup video that I put out last week has gotten like 30-something thousand views. I was not expecting that, and it's really taken off. And so we've got a lot of subscribers from that. So welcome to all those new subscribers. And also there was somebody who wrote last night in the middle of the night who said, "Way to use a hip hop video and ruin a video. I couldn't make it 1 minute in, but it's been my most successful video." And look, hip hop. I try to use a mix of different music. Right now, you've got Billy Joel in the background. I've got some custom songs that I had made. I've got some royalty-free songs. So you're going to hear a wide variety of music. I try to cater to a large audience. I got people coming from other countries and things like that. Not everybody has the same taste in music. So you're going to hear a mix of music. Mostly you're going to hear things that I like, because I like a mix of music. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We are 383 from 10,000. I do want to share one thing. I've got a new link to merch in my store, and I'm going to share it right here. So this is the merch store. If you buy something during the stream, it'll pop up and say, so-and-so bought such and such a shirt or hat. I've got a bunch of different stuff. This is a little, I guess it's like a windbreaker type jacket. Let's take a look here. So you can see everything is nice and embroidered. This is through Streamlabs. I made a couple of new pieces yesterday that I ordered from myself that I'll be debuting on the stream as soon as they arrive. This is an NYY Recaps hat. It's available in black. If black will pop up. There we go. It's available in navy blue. That's the one I ordered. And then I got one that's got a little bit of like a reddish pinkish color for the ladies out there. Then let's see. We've got, I made one for the 643 DP podcast, which is the podcast I do with Patrick Hennessy, who I think is also live right now. I hate to compete with Patrick, but hey, it is, he's my boy, but it is capitalism. So this is the 643 DP hat. It's also available in royal blue because Patrick said that he also likes the Royals. So I made him just a custom piece. If I can pull that up, boom. So I made that one especially for Patrick. Let's see what else we got. I had a few comments on my old store about the machine. So I made this one. This is the Machine 26. It's written in Terminator. I keep clicking on the wrong screen here. It's written in Terminator font. I don't know if you're familiar with the Terminator series, but that's the font they use for the logo. And then the 26, obviously, his number. So I don't want to spend the whole time, pitching my own stuff, but I did think that it would be fun to show some of that. So the next thing I want to talk about is the other day, Clint Frazier was joking about possibly hitting 60 home runs. Let me mute this music. I thought I would be able to play some music in the background, but I'm not handling it well because it distracts me because I'm like jamming to some Billy Joel. I've got the Pressure remix. It's like a hip-hop remix of the song Pressure by Billy Joel. And I've got it kind of turned down low so it doesn't trip any copyright infringement type things. But Clint Frazier was joking the other day that he wants to hit 60 home runs this year. I don't know if 60 home runs is realistic. I made a little video on Clint Frazier, just like the one I did for Derek Dietrich. Another guy I'm keeping a close eye on this spring training is Clint Frazier, Red Thunder. The other day I heard he was joking around that he could hit 60 home runs this year. And man, I love the confidence, but honestly, one of my favorite things about Frazier is precisely that he doesn't try and hit home runs every time. He takes what the pitcher gives him, he works the count, he uses the whole field, and obviously you'd love to hit a home run, but you need to pick your spots. If it's the 7th inning and a single will give you the lead and there's 2 outs, maybe play the odds. He's a .258 career hitter. He hit .267 last year, so he's got at least a 25% chance of giving the Yankees the lead if he goes for a base hit. Meanwhile, he's hit home runs in about 4% of his career plate appearances, 24 in 524 at-bats. So obviously a higher percentage to give your team the lead if you use a situational approach. Don't need to hit a home run every time. By the way, Clint has played in exactly 1 season's worth of games in his career, 162 games, and he has 24 home runs, 82 RBIs to go along with an .806 OPS. So while 60 home runs would be nice, I think 30 is more realistic, and it would be nice if he would try and avoid becoming another home run or nothing guy. In his first 162, he does have 32 doubles, 5 triples, 53 walks to go along with 5 stolen bases. He struck out 170 times, which is too many, but he could improve in this area if he takes a situational approach. That would almost certainly lead to better numbers overall, because the more contact from a guy with his strength and bat speed would almost certainly lead to a higher batting average and driving in more runs when he comes up with guys on base. Clint is my pick to make his first All-Star team in 2021. Also, in case you're just joining this channel from a long winter without baseball, Clint Frazier was a top 3 finalist for Gold Glove last year, and you really have to commend the way he's improved his defense. MLB Network actually ranked him as the 9th best left fielder in all of baseball heading into the 2021 season. All right, so that was my little piece on Clint Frazier. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm such a big Clint Frazier fan now. When he first came up, I was kind of mixed on. Actually, when he first came up, I really liked him. But then after his defensive struggles and all the shoe stuff, I wasn't as big of a Clint Frazier fan. But over the last, I guess, since August or so, when he came up and just dominated against the Braves, ever since that day, I've been, wow, just love this thing. Hey, my dad's on the stream. Lots of guys think they'll hit 60 this time of year, but it's been 60 years since anyone in the American League has. Hasn't it been 70 years? 60. I don't do math. So, yeah, 60 years. Wow, long time. All right, how long is the stream going to be? I'm planning to go probably till about 12:30. 12:30. Game starts at 1:05. Jonathan Alvarez says, I'm thinking about 30 home runs and 80 RBIs, batting .290 for Clint Frazier. I agree. I think that's a pretty fair. I don't know if 290 is realistic. I could see him hitting 270, 275, maybe 280. But I think 290 might be pushing it. Matt Bagley's right. Game is at 1. All right, let's talk about the lineups and the starting pitcher. I'm going to debut a new piece to this. All right, so we got today's lineup. DJ LeMahieu leading off at second base. Yankees actually playing a lot of starters. DJ LeMahieu at second base, Aaron Judge in right field. Gleyber Torres getting the start at shortstop. Word on Gleyber Torres is that he came into camp in great shape. You hear that every year about somebody, and Gleyber Torres is a guy that I predicted was going to have a monster year. I think Gleyber Torres is a upper 30s minimum home run guy, and he's also a guy who uses the whole field if he doesn't get into pull mode. He goes through stretches where he gets into pull mode. We saw that last season. But if he's using the whole field, he's a guy who could hit 280, 290. I think he hit 270 a couple years ago. So he definitely makes contact. And then we got Luke Voit, the American League, actually the Major League home run leader last year, 22 home runs. He was on pace for 59 over a full season. He was playing with plantar fasciitis. If you've ever had plantar fasciitis, you know it is crazy, crazy. Liam B. Nessler says, Judge for MVP. Stanton is not in the lineup because he will get injured. I think they're just giving him a day off. It's been a long winter. He needs a day off. Been a lot of bench pressing supermodels. Jeffrey Canilla says Torres needs to step up this year. All right, Gary Sanchez also in the lineup today. He's a regular. He is not behind the plate. Gary Sanchez is at DH. Clint Frazier, the guy we just featured, he is out there in left field. I think he's going to hit a home run today. I feel like he's just the type of guy that putting on those pinstripes first day of spring, he's going to be amped up. He's a high energy guy. He's a adrenaline guy. And I think he's going to have that spring training adrenaline that some of the guys who've been around a while probably won't. Also, I heard that Gary Sanchez has been doing well against fastballs in his side sessions. He actually homered off of Chad Green, who we know has a upper 90s fastball, good spin rate. But he probably knew it was coming. I mean, it was, batting practice, not pitching practice. And also, he's used to catching Chad Green, so he knows how the ball comes out of Chad Green's hand. I want to see how he does against some real fastballs. We should get a look today, but let's not jump to any conclusions about today because, first day of spring, guys are still kind of behind. Guys are still kind of getting used to their reps and things like that. So it's just going to be tough to judge anybody until they get maybe 15, 20 at bats. We'll see how everybody looks. And then, once guys start to heat up a little bit, it just is basically a wait for the pitchers to come around and get their innings up. Batting seventh, Miguel Andujar. He is one of my favorite players on the team. Miggy Two Bags. He's got that great whip-like action on his swing. He's got really great power, good exit velocity, although it was down last year after he had that surgery in 2019. He started off really slow, was not getting a ton of at-bats. He was back and forth between the alternate site at, I think it was Scranton and New York, and he basically just couldn't get into a rhythm. But right at the end of the season, he started swinging the bat pretty well. So keep an eye on Miguel Andujar. He always rakes in spring training. Batting eighth, Robinson Chirinos. He actually used to catch Garrett Cole. He's an experienced catcher. He's a veteran. He's one of these guys that you sign as kind of insurance during spring training. Most teams will bring in some kind of veteran catcher. The Yankees have the luxury of bringing in guys who've been starters for many years and taking a chance on that because they can guarantee more money if they make the roster. I think Robinson Chirinos is probably a guy that you sign to a AAA contract a la Eric Kratz because Higgy's going to be your backup. But Chirinos has caught Garrett Cole before, so if something happens to Higgy or if something happens to Gary Sanchez, Chirinos would probably be the first guy called up under that scenario. And then in center field, batting ninth, Mike Tauchman. Mike Tauchman had kind of a bad year last year. Didn't have a lot of power. I don't think he had any home runs. He said that there was a problem with his swing path and he was getting under the ball too much. He also didn't have a great year defensively, but the year before that, he was one of the best defensive outfielders in all of baseball. So really, really interesting lineup first day of spring training. I wish that Giancarlo Stanton would be in there. Like to see him. Like to see Gio Urshela, but he's still kind of coming back from the elbow injury. But I think, a representative lineup, LeMahieu, Judge, Torres, Voit, Sanchez, Frazier, all probably going to be in the regular opening day lineup. Possible that Andujar is, depending on how far along Gio Urshela is. All right, so how you guys enjoying the broadcast? Detna says, I've got us winning 100 games this season. Mike Tauchman, hope he does good. Hope he does well, even. Let's see. Tauchman, they said Tauchman was pretty good in August last year. I don't remember that. I think he was pretty good in August the year before that. I think he had like a monster July. All right, let's talk about the starting pitcher. I'm going to pull off the lineup here. Starting pitcher is Mike King. Mike King is 25 years old. We both have the same birthday, although I'm 12 years older than he is. He was born on May 25th. Last year, he was one of these guys that played pretty well in spring training, and during the original spring training, it was looking like he could make the roster. You remember Luis Severino went down, and the Yankees were looking for, who would take over for that rotation spot, and Mike King was a guy that a lot of people were talking about along with Clark Schmidt. Then they shut down spring training. James Paxton ended up being ready, and so it closed the opening that was there for one of these young guys. But he was 1-2 with a 7.76 ERA and 26 2/3 innings pitched. He's a guy that relies on a sinker. He throws a mid-90s sinker, which is pretty good. 94, 95. It's a pretty heavy pitch. But my problem with Mike King last season was that he would miss with it too much. When you're a guy who relies on a sinker, your pitch has to sink every time. And it seemed like about 1 out of every 8 or 10 pitches wouldn't sink, and it would just stay kind of flat, belt high. He said on, I want to say it was Eric Hubbs' podcast the other day. Eric Hubbs, of course, came on the other day. But he said on Eric Hubbs' podcast that it was basically a adjustment that he made to his grip. And so he was getting more sink this offseason than he got last season. Let's hope that that's true. If it is true, I think he'll help the Yankees a lot. I love sinker ball pitchers. Obviously, Zach Britton is the Yankees' current, biggest sinker baller. Corey Kluber's kind of a sinker baller in a way. Chin-Ming Wong was one of my favorite pitchers of all time. He was a sinker baller. Also, Ramiro Mendoza. Anybody who remembers the late 90s Yankees, maybe from, I want to say about 95 through about 2000, Ramiro Mendoza was a guy who would come in the middle of the game and throw 2 to 3 innings with a nice heavy sinker, usually about 92, 93. So he wasn't quite as hard as Mike King throws, but his ball would sink every time. He just had that natural 3/4. It's hard to do, but he had that natural 3/4 angle where the ball would kind of tail, down and arm side. So he would just throw it right down the middle. The guy would start their swing, and it would come in towards their ankles. This is against a righty. And he would just get choppers to Brocious and little dinkers to Derek Jeter all day long. Same thing with Chin-Ming Wong, except it was A-Rod over there at third. And then Mike King is a guy who's trying to do the same thing, but to do that, you have to get the ball down. That might mean taking a little off. That's something that he'll learn as he grows as a pitcher. You don't always have to throw it as hard as you can. Sometimes just downward movement in the zone is enough. So Mike King is somebody that we should look forward to. Okay, so that's all I have for this. But let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's go ahead and do the chat here. Let's go ahead and do the chat. All right, I'm predicting 8-7 win for New York. Oh yeah, by the way, the Yankees are only playing 7 innings today. It is a shortened spring training game. There's all sorts of weird rules in spring training. Lori says, hit that like button.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, there's all sorts of weird rules in spring training where the defensive team, if they want to preserve a pitcher, can kind of, end the inning early, even if there haven't been 3 outs. That's a new rule this year. Let's see. Let's take off Mike King here. And let's put on the spring training reel. Hobbs, Yankees fan 31, says, still not a fan of the rotation, too many question marks. Well, the thing about question marks is they usually get an answer. So we'll find out in the next probably 8 to 10 weeks who's legit. 7 innings for the first 3-4 games. That is correct to the most creative username, GB. Let's see. Cool shades. Yes, I wore these outside and I had them sitting on my desk. They kind of match my undershirt and my hat, so I figured I would throw on the shades. Do you think we gave up on Otto's too soon? No, I don't, because that was a salary move. The Yankees had to do that to clear some room for Darren O'Day. They basically got a version of Adam Ottavino in Darren O'Day, except that Darren O'Day is probably better. He doesn't throw quite as hard, and he's cheaper. Let's see. How do you think Judge and Giancarlo... Whoops, wrong one. How do you think Judge and Giancarlo Stanton will do this year? Look, it's all going to come down to health. I've said it all winter. I get that question on every live stream. I think that Judge is probably going to stay a little healthier than Stanton because Stanton traditionally has had more muscle pulls. Judge's, some of his injuries were freak injuries. He had the hit by pitch. He had the diving thing where he punctured his lung and broke his rib. So I think Judge is a little more likely to stay healthy. I've got Judge at about 140 games. I've got Stanton at about 115 to 120. I think Judge is going to hit 40 home runs. I think Stanton's going to have upper 30s. But obviously if they play more than that, they'll do better than that. Wait, is the rule for pitchers only for spring training game? I'm not sure what rule, which rule you're talking about. That they can end the inning, after a certain number of pitches? Yes, I think that. Whose jersey are you wearing? I don't know. Whose jersey am I wearing? So you guys tell me. I'm not. Can you guys see? I caught the edge. It's 99. Okay, so I'm wearing Judge. This is actually one of those jerseys from DH Gate. It doesn't have the Nike swoosh. I don't like the Nike swoosh. Do you think Bear Claw can make the team right out of camp? And I like how THG spelled Bear Claw phonetically because I can't pronounce it the way he typically spells it. Barkley is how I say it. But I don't think he's going to make the team. I don't. Do you think Nick Nelson will have a bigger role this year? I do think Nick Nelson will have a bigger role this year. Let's take a look at Nick Nelson because I like his stuff. I went over this on one of my previous episodes here. But Nick Nelson has some of the best stuff in the bullpen that you can see. Look at this fastball is going to be 97. I think he throws another one, 98, up in the zone, fouled away. This is another fastball coming. This is up and away. Swing and a miss. 98 miles an hour. That was his first hitter in the big leagues, I think. He's also got a pretty good changeup, which you'll see in just a second at about 89. There it is, a soft fly ball to left field. I think that was Devers, obviously a pretty decent player. He's got a pretty good wipeout breaking ball. You'll see it right there. Look at that sharp break. If he could ever just get the control going, he actually came up as a starter, so he's got 3 pretty good pitches. I think working with Matt Blake, the Yankees pitching coach, that he's really going to do a nice job this year. And it's all about consistency of location. Anybody can have, well, not anybody, but a lot of guys have great stuff. It's about consistently throwing strikes. If you can spot that 98 and that breaking ball, you're going to be phenomenal. And I think he's young enough that, he's going to learn to control the ball better as he goes along. And if you look, he really only had 1 or 2 rough appearances. The rest, he was pretty solid. GB says, should the Yankees go out and get David Robertson? I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think they're pretty good in the bullpen right now. It really depends on what he asks for. I trust the Yankees scouts on rehab guys like that. I trust what they did with Corey Kluber. I like the reclamation project in Jameson Taillon. So, we'll see how it goes. All right, a couple more questions, and then we'll call it a day. Let's see. Do you think Nick Nelson can beat out Schmidt or Davey for a starting role? Well, first of all, Schmidt is injured. He's going to be out at least a month. So I don't think he's going to win a starting role right away. But I will tell you this. If Nick Nelson pitches the way out of a starting spot that he does out of the rotation, I think he could absolutely be a starter. I don't know how long he can maintain his velocity. Not everybody can maintain velocity deep into the game. But I do think that he's got the stuff. I think he's got better stuff than Clark Schmidt. And he did pretty well as a starter in the minor leagues. So we'll see. Who do you think will take the NL East? I'm still a Braves guy. I think the Braves are going to be really tough. I know they lost Josh Donaldson, but Ronald Acuna Jr. over a full season could be really, really good. The Mets are okay. The Mets, they do have Francisco Lindor, but for some reason the Mets always seem to have that issue that the Yankees have been having lately where guys get hurt. Must be something about New York. Maybe it's the water, guys, getting hurt these days. Maybe it's Cuomo. I don't know. How close are we to a luxury tax? I think it's only a couple of $1 million at this point. Yeah, THG says, I'm happy Holder isn't on the team anymore. What I find interesting about Holder is that he had the name Holder, but he never got holds because he was so terrible. A hold is when you come in. Luigi Lopez says Derek Dietrich could have a chance of making the team. Sorry, I have to sort of translate when it's written poorly. Sorry to say, but I have to translate it as I read it, and sometimes it doesn't come out. It's like I got a word salad. I did a little piece on Derek Dietrich. I'll be putting it live as soon as I go off the air here. I got Gary in my DraftKings lineup over Glaber. Don't let me down, Gary. Is DraftKings really doing betting for spring training? I guess they do bets on everything. People who do those gambling sites, they're always willing to take your money, I guess, on anything. Shane Green and D-Rob are still out there. Yeah, I think there's a reason for that. Oh, hey, we just got subscribers. So what you just heard is one of the, whatchamacallits, the alerts that I get with this new software. I actually had to turn them off for a little while. There's another one. We might get a few more because they tend to flood in at a moment's notice. So if you do subscribe, you will be on the screen. Do you prefer Dietrich over Bruce? Yes, I do prefer Dietrich over Bruce because he can play more positions. I like that Derek Dietrich can play third base. I don't think Jay Bruce can play third base. Also, Jay Bruce, he's a little bit older, and I tend to respect Father Time, having gotten to be 37 years old myself. New sub hype. Hell yeah, we're going to do... I'm going to make more sound effects as we go along, but whenever THG says something hype, I'm going to do a sound effect if I can remember. I don't know what POG means. Oh, player of the game, maybe. I'm going to say... look, it's only a 7-inning game, so I'm going to say Luke Voigt. I'm going to say Luke Voigt hits a 3-run home run. Ethan Tindo, what's the prediction for today's game? Look, it's a spring training game, so who knows? I'm going to say Yankees 6, Blue Jays 4, I'm saying Luke Voigt with a 3-run home run. I think Labor goes deep too. I actually did see this video. Cool Beans Kid says, I saw a clip of the Martian swinging and missing a lot. Thoughts? I did watch that. It's on Fuzzy's video. There was a clip. So Jason Dominguez, who I've hyped up a lot, he was batting right-handed, and he was facing a guy throwing 100 miles an hour, and he was struggling, and that guy had a good changeup. I'm more concerned with who the hell is that pitcher that was in that video. I want that pitcher on the Yankees right now. Hey, we got a fresh hat there, Sawbelly. So the Yankees are going to be tamping down some of that Jason Dominguez hype, but he's 18 years old. His swing did remind me, and I hate to say this, it reminded me a little bit of Gary Sanchez. He had that big leg kick and the one-arm follow-through from the right-hand side, and they say that Gary Sanchez is biomechanically perfect. That's why he hits the ball so hard. He just misses a lot. So it's going to come down to Jason Dominguez just adjusting to major league pitching, to quality pitching over time. I think that he'll improve with time. Okay, so we're over a half an hour. I want to say thank you to everybody. We have 277 people on the stream right now. I'll be doing these periodically throughout the season. I'm not going to do a pregame show every day. I'm going to be doing a lot of shorter videos that are released during the middle of the day. I'll probably do a pregame show, a couple of times per week. One of my best buddies in the YouTube community is Patrick Hennessy. He does a pregame show. I know he's planning on doing it every single day. I will be doing a post-game show pretty much every single day. This is NYY Recaps after all. Would you guys like to take a look at the post-game show format? Actually, that's the pregame show. Sorry about that. Or we're going to cycle through for all the new people, actually. Hang on. I'm going to cycle through. I got to close some things down. All right, so here's a glimpse at the watch party. So when we do a watch party, I'll have a topic every couple of innings that I update for you guys to talk about while I watch the game. I replanted my phone up here so I can watch it while I look at the screen. So you guys will be looking at me while I'm watching the game on my phone. I'll be about 60 seconds behind, so I won't be responding to comments while I'm watching the game. I'll actually try to actively avoid the comments, but I will be watching. I'll be having these watch parties at least once a week. And then I'll update the score after anybody scores, So if somebody hits a home run, I'll update the score just so that, excuse me, so that we're, up to date. And then I'll also share my screen where I can put up the MLB game day, where it actually shows the batter and the pitchers or whatever. And then I'll leave this topic up here. And then I also have some other things that are always going to be switching out. So let me just take a look at some of these real quick. So that's the current topic. I'll be making movie recommendations. So this is The Scout, Brendan Fraser, Albert Brooks. I've got to move this, but I'm still working on this. This is a work in progress. 5-star review, so I'll be reviewing Yankees books. I know that Brian Hoke has a book coming out called The Bronx Zoom. I'm going to try and get him back on the podcast. Brian, if you're watching this, when you release your book, if you send it to me, I'll review it. And then also, I would love to have you on to talk about it. Echoes to any Yankees personnel or any Yankees people who watch this or writers. You want to come on the podcast, just email me at NYYRecapsDaily@gmail.com. Quote of the day, I'll be having Yankees quotes. When you come to a fork in the road, take it. That's Yogi Berra, quote of the day. And then I'll also have Yankees facts. And all these things will go up throughout the game. And then this is the watch party screen. So I'll definitely have different videos going up and down throughout the game. But we're not going to do a watch party today. And then the post-game show, which will happen after each game, it will hopefully, and this is my plan, but I can't promise this after every game, it will hopefully have the highlights immediately. I did discover a way yesterday to quickly render my highlights so that I can grab them within 2 minutes. And I am looking to hire somebody possibly to gather the highlights during the game and upload them to a Google document or Google folder for me so that I can have them ready when the game goes live or when the post-game show goes live about 5 minutes after the game is over. It takes about 2 minutes for me to render the file, right? So I've got this video that you're seeing right now. It's called Post-Game Reel. So what I'll do is I'll grab my videos from the game. I'll edit them real quickly to be compliant, basically, with the copyright rules because everything has to be shorter than 10 seconds. And then as soon as I publish, this is dynamically linked from my broadcast to a folder. So as soon as I publish, I can go live. And I can publish it. I timed it in 3 to 5 minutes. I kept it short and it loops. So it's, it's about 3 or 4 minutes long. So hopefully we can have highlights after every game. I can't guarantee it. I'm going to try and have them after most games. Read Full Count by David Cohn. I did read that. It's actually by Jack Curry and David Cohn. Jack Curry was on Los Baseball. I don't know if you guys watch Los Baseball. Carlos Collado runs that channel. I know he's been working real hard to grow that channel. He's made leaps and bounds. He's not going to be for everybody because he's not like a baseball expert, but he's a funny guy. He's an entertaining guy. I enjoy watching his videos. And he interviewed Jack Curry the other day. Jack Curry actually turned me down before it was a while ago. It was like during the winter. I emailed Jack Curry and I said, "Hey, would you come on NYY Recaps and talk?" And he said, "I'm going to pass." But then I saw him on Los Baseball, and it's like, dude, I have 2 million views. So I would love to have you on, Jack, if you see this. I don't know if you knew who I was. Maybe you're just busy that week. Maybe you were going on vacation. But, yeah, I watched this interview with Jack Curry, too. It was pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Alex, no, the game is not over. I'm just doing I'm showing off what the post-game show is going to look like. We're going to go back to the pregame show. That's your lineup. That's your starting pitcher. All right, so I did longer than I thought I was going to do. I want to send one more promotion here because we do have 250 people on to go check out. Oops, let me move my camera. Boom. Let's go check out the merch store one more time because a lot of this stuff is new, and we saw that you do get an alert if you get a hat. Let's take a look. Yankees or NYY Recaps hoodie. This is one of my favorite pieces. And again, I try and set the prices as reasonable as I can make them. Coffee mug. On the other side, it says, hang on, let me just try and fire the training staff with my little NYY Yankees hat mug. So I'm actually not using the Yankees mark. That's actually that little hat thing that doesn't actually, it's not actually the Yankees mark. That's actually my edited version of it. If you'll notice, there's a microphone and then it's got a different number of stars. So it's kind of a modified version of their mark just so I could stay compliant. So anyway, Jesse Sanchez says Stanton not in the lineup today. That is correct. Look, there's only five regulars in the starting lineup today, but it is what it is. Thanks to everybody who watched. I'm going to go get ready for the game. I got to make a little bit of lunch. I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Look forward after the game. I'm going to hop back on and do a little post-game show. We'll go over some stats and things like that. I'll see you next time.